If you had told me a year ago that one midnight shift and a stack of contracts would flip my entire world, I'd have laughed and told you to get in line because people in this town, they don't bet on girls like me. Not with a name like Zoe Carter. Not with an apron still stained with pancake syrup and cheap coffee. Not with a past that always seems to trail behind no matter how hard you run. But here's what happened right in the middle of the Maple and Main Diner. Under the tired neon, the night the richest man in Havenport crashed into my reality like a storm you can see coming but never quite outrun. I was wiping down counter 4, just about ready to clock out, when in walks Victor Ellis. Yeah, that Victor Ellis, the tech legend, with his jawline sharper than his suits and an ego that could block out the sun. He dropped a thick stack of papers on my counter and said, "If you're as clever as you look, translate this." And I'll never forget it. Forks froze midair. Old Walt nearly dropped his pie. Even the jukebox paused its Motown hum. But I didn't blink. I just slid the contract over, flipped through those pages, and let him wait. See, what Victor didn't know, and what most folks never ask, is that before I was pouring coffee, I was pre-law at Southlake University. That was before Mom's cancer, before I traded classrooms for double shifts, before life decided plans were a luxury. I used to break down documents for fund rental leases, medical bills, the work, so reading merger terms with the fate of a billion-dollar company in the balance. That was just Tuesday night for me. I read that contract and found the poison right away. A clause that let the other company, Argus Holdings, pull out if Ellis Tech stock dipped even just 7%, even for a single day, plus an escrow lock so tight it could choke a company twice their size. I laid it out in plain English. Right there, told Victor how badly they were playing him. He stared at me like I was some kind of glitch in his system, then asked my name. "Zoe Carter," I said, and I could feel something in the room shift, like maybe for once someone saw more than the apron. He didn't thank me, not then. Just nodded, took his coffee, and left. But that was only the beginning. 2 nights later, he came back, not for the hash browns, but for me. Told me I'd save him from a multi-million-dollar mistake. Asked what I was doing wasting my mind at a diner. I told him life doesn't always care what you want, and he grinned, said, "Come talk to me after your shift." I shrugged. "What's one more risk when your whole life's been a gamble?" and agreed to meet him at 10. That's how it started. Me, sitting across from Victor Ellis, not a suit in sight, just 2 people and a late-night pot of coffee. He wanted to know how a waitress caught what his lawyers missed. I told him the truth. Pre-law champion, scholarship kid, then caretaker. Dropped out when Mom's insurance ran out. Kept studying on my own, reading legal journals in between double shifts, dreaming up an app that could help ordinary folks translate contracts, no law degree required. He didn't pity me. He listened. He offered a partnership, not Charisha chance to build my app, legal literacy for everyone. I said yes, but only if I could lead. I'd been underestimated enough. Suddenly, it was in places I'd only ever seen on TV. Glass towers, 29th floor boardrooms, people in $1,000 shoes giving me that she's lost look. His VP, Leonard Brandt, hated me on site, locked me out of meetings, changed my system passwords, redlined every doc I touched. But I lived through worse. When the dev team questioned my wireframes, I fought back with stories of kids losing scholarships over fine print, grandmas evicted over one missing signature. When they said I didn't have the pedigree, I told them pedigree never paid my mother's bills. Then came the twist. Leonard tried to stall the whole project by convincing the board that my ideas were too ambitious and legally risky. I saw it coming, but it still burned. One morning, my badge didn't work. The next, the launch meeting started without me. But I refused to disappear. I started bringing in testimonials, real people, real stories. A single dad who used my prototype to fight a wage theft case. A high schooler who finally understood his rights when a cop pulled him over. I told the board, "We're not building software, handing out flashlights in the dark." Victor backed me, but the fight was constant. Then late one night, as I triple-checked a revised contract, I spotted Ida's single word, temporary, slipped into the stock clause. That word could have sunk Ellis Tech overnight. I flagged it, forced Victor to call an emergency session, and this time, when the room fell silent, I was the one at the head of the table. He told the board, "From now on, every contract goes through Zoe." For the first time, I felt like I wasn't just in the room, I belonged there. We launched Bridge Legal a month later in a crammed gymnasium with reporters, students, even the mayor. I walked out, no makeup, blazer over my diner shirt, and said, "Justice isn't just for those who can afford a lawyer. It's for anyone who's ever signed something and paid the price." My voice shook, but the message landed. Afterwards, I got emails from strangers across the state, kids, parents, teachers telling me we'd given them power. Not everyone loved it, of course. Some donors wanted me replaced by a credentialed exec. I stood my ground. "You're not afraid I'll fail," I said in the next meeting. "You're afraid I'll prove you never needed those gates at all." It kept growing pilot programs in city schools, community centers, churches. Leonard never quit trying to push me out, but I just kept showing up, kept rewriting the rules. When the governor's office called for a statewide digital rights program, Victor grinned, handed me the reins, and said, "Your move, Carter." The real turning point? I was walking through the old diner one rainy night where it all began when a new waitress, nervous and fresh, stopped me. "You're Zoe, right? My mom used Bridge Legal. She kept her apartment because of you." I smiled, told her she did it herself. I just built the bridge. People started calling, writing, wanting to know how I did it. The answer's simple. You don't wait for doors to open. You knock, you build your own frame, and when they still try to shut you out, you kick the damn thing in, and you pull up a chair for the next one behind you. So let me ask you, how many times have you been told to wait your turn, to accept that some rooms just aren't for you? What's stopping you from building your own table right now? Tell me your story below. Because this isn't about one girl or one app, it's about all of us, refusing to stay invisible, refusing to let anyone else get lost in the fine print ever again.